Well, what's the point of growing your own food if you can't keep it so fresh and so clean?
Many of our garden goods like strawberries, tomatoes, and avocados can go to waste if they are not put away properly.
Well, as we continue Garden Week, we want to make sure all your hard work in the heat does not end up in the trash.
And that will be key, actually, to saving you money. And food blogger Jerry James Stone joins us now this morning. And Jerry, so good to have you. I'm so excited for this conversation because, first of all, according to the Natural Resources Council, up to 40% of food in the U.S. is never eaten. So we want to help stop that. It can end up in landfills. That can generate greenhouse gases, right? There's lots of issues with that. So what is key to proper storage, actually, in reducing our impact on the environment?
Well, there's a couple different things. So it's, one of them is like not just how you store it, but what you store those things next to. So with vegetables, every vegetable puts off ethylene gas, and every vegetable is susceptible to ethylene gas. It's what causes those fruits and veggies to ripe. And so what you want to do is make sure that you're storing the things not only properly, but storing them next to the things that won't cause them to rot faster.
And when we're talking about some of these garden goodies, what's some of the hardest ones to really store and keep fresh? And this heat that we're seeing, how's that really impacting it?
Yeah, that definitely makes an impact. Probably berries. Berries are probably the hardest thing to store, probably just because they're so fragile. But there's actually a couple quick things that you can do to actually make those berries last for a really long time. So if you're bringing in berries from the garden, you really want to make sure that you wash them in a solution that's 1 part vinegar and 3 parts water. That kills all the sort of mold spores, all the bacteria, and that's what will really help them stay fresher in the fridge longer. And then when you store them, just put them in a container with a paper towel that helps absorb any extra moisture. And I've had berries last almost a month, stay fresh in my fridge a month that way.
What? And I always thought you weren't supposed to get them wet, right? Like you don't wash them until right before you eat them.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, you want to make sure that they're thoroughly dry. That's why you want that paper towel in there. So you want them to be dry when you put them in the fridge. But yeah, you can wash produce. I mean, people have that misconception, I think, sometimes because you've been told, oh, don't get it wet, don't get it wet. But the grocery stores are spraying your food all day long with water. So it's not necessarily how the grocery store does it. You just want to make sure when you put it in your fridge that's dry.
Yeah. And plus it rains right on them before it gets to you. Let's talk about tomatoes. Tomatoes are a favorite. And, people are either like on the counter or in the fridge. What do you think?
Well, it's, so I'm not going to help you very much. I'm going to say both. The thing with tomatoes is once you pick them, they start to release moisture from the top from where they were attached to the vine. So the real important thing with tomatoes to prevent them from releasing that moisture, and this is ridiculously easy, is just to store them upside down. If you can't, for some reason, store them upside down, you can put a piece of tape across the top, but that keeps that moisture in and keeps the tomato nice and plump and juicy. If you do have to put it in the fridge because, say, it's just too warm in your home, I wouldn't store it in the fridge for more than 3 days because just like you said, like once the cold causes that tomato to get mealy and change that flavor. So a few days is fine, but they do fare better outside of the fridge.
Upside down. Who knew? A handstand for your tomatoes.
I know, right? Jerry, I have to ask you here, can you solve the age-old debate, tomato, fruit, or veggie?
Once again, both. Sorry, I'm not helping at all. Like, why did you even bring me on, right? So, so classically, it is a fruit as far as botany goes, but we have just classified it as a veggie. So it is actually a fruit. Typically, it is a fruit.
All right, so let's talk about when it was a real veggie, a carrot. They can be cumbersome in keeping fresh here. They always get to that white sort of coating on them. How can we keep Bugs Bunny's favorite snack fresh for us?
Yes. So the thing with carrots and just actually root vegetables in general, basic plant biology is that the roots feed the greens. So when you're storing these, bringing them in, whatever you're growing, whatever root vegetable you're growing, carrots or beets or radishes, you want to remove those greens because the greens are going to continue to pull moisture and pull nutrients from the roots. So removing those greens is key to storing them. And then also root vegetables, they like a little bit of humidity. So storing them in a bag in the fridge that's lined with a paper towel to kind of keep any moisture from collecting will they can actually keep in the fridge for, months.
Okay.
And when it comes to avocados, how do we know when those are ready to get going?
I know it seems like when you buy an avocado, it just rottens, like before you even get it home. They're tricky. So avocados, the thing about avocados is I would keep them outside of the refrigerator until they're ripe. Once they're ripe, you can put them in the fridge and that'll slow them down from ripening more. Avocados, actually, a fun fact about them, they don't actually start to ripen to get edible until after they're picked. But if you want to ripen an avocado faster, you can take it and put it in a brown paper bag with an apple, and that'll make it ripen a lot faster.
And real quick, what if you want it to stay ripe longer? Like you can't use them all on the first day, right?
Yeah, if you can't use them all, that's where I put them in the fridge. So once they hit that peak ripeness, like you want to put them in the fridge. And then also avocados, kind of coming back to that ethylene gas thing, they're sensitive to ethylene gas. That's why you can ripen them with an apple. So you want to keep them away from things that are going to make them ripen faster. So apples and bananas, don't store them next to that because that'll just make it ripen faster. So if you put it in the fridge, that'll slow it down for sure.
Jerry Stone, this was fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We learned so much.